This Chop and Brew video is brought to you with support from Imperial Yeast, whose seasonal strain Que Bueno is perfect for fermenting your next Mexican-style lager, Vienna lager, or Maibach. Plus Grey Duck Media, publishers of Dawson's awesome Mashmaker recipe book. It's available now in ebook format at bit.ly/mashmakerbook. And our awesome Patreon supporters. Among them, our good friend Barry Salem. Join Barry and other fans in keeping the show on and poppin' at patreon.com/chopandbrew. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Chop and Brew. I'm Chip Walton. I'm in the awesome lager caves at the historic Casanova Liquor in Hudson, Wisconsin. You might remember these from Brewing TV episode 2. I am joined by a special guest,
Barry Salem.
Barry Salem, who apparently these lager caves were a bucket list item that you've now checked off your list.
Yeah, check.
So he drove over from Milwaukee to get the Janet's Brown Ales that we're all swapping for our variant, but I wanted to take this opportunity to tell you all about a really cool project that Barry is doing. He has challenged himself. He threw down a gauntlet to himself, the Mashmaker Challenge, and he brought the first beer from the Mashmaker Challenge for us to sample in a moldy, dank, damp cave.
You can't ask for a better place.
I know. So first off, cheers.
Cheers.
That's the socially distanced cheers right there.
Yes.
We're going to tell you about a Tat That Says evil black IPA, but first let's just talk about this challenge. So this book has 64 recipes, and you're doing what?
64 recipes.
What?
Yes. 64 recipes. I just brewed number 3 yesterday, and so I'm not even
a month in.
Yeah, not even a month in or so. But I'm planning. This is probably going to take about 2 to 2.5 years to do. So lately, I've been able to brew a little bit more, but as summer hits and work picks up, I'm probably going to be brewing a little less. But I'm going to try to get at least 1 brew in per month so I can get a video up on the channel once per month at least. And then in between that, I'm going to be doing some build ideas, like building a fermentation chamber. And I've already built a grain mill cabinet, and then Chuck Gosnell built one.
I know, like the next day.
That was pretty cool.
So first things first, before we go further, you've got to go sub to Barry's Mashmaker Challenge YouTube channel, because it's going to fill a lot of your brew day wants and needs when Chop and Brew may be in like Zoom interview mode or stuff like that. But he's also doing a lot of DIY. You're a carpenter?
Yes.
By trade, so I imagine you're going to be outfitting the brewery. So, but you're back to the Mashmaker Challenge. You're doing these in order? Thus far you have. Is that really the plan?
Yes, the plan is to do it in order.
Which is kind of
beginning to end, yes.
Weird, I would say, because it's all hoppy beers, and then all malty beers, then all stouts and porters, and all lagers. Somebody who was
there's the flavor country. Flavor country, yes.
I was talking to some people. They were wondering why you didn't maybe choose to do this kind of like, still do them all, but maybe do them when the season might be appropriate, whether that's because it's a light drinking beer or it's a lager, or maybe do some of these mixed firms.
That might be part of the challenge, though, and that's why I'm making a fermentation chamber, so that when I do hit the lagers, if it's in summer months or even fall, I'll have a fermentation chamber ready for those lagers. So I won't have to worry about the basement being 55 degrees or whatever. I'll just be able to brew what I want, when I want, and how I want.
But you've got a spreadsheet for it.
Yes, I've got a spreadsheet. I sent it to you guys.
Yeah, with all the ingredients that you're going to need for like the 2 years, and not that you're buying them all up front, but just to wrap your head around it, right?
But basically, if I do a section at a time, such as like the hop forward ales, I have a whole list of everything I need, so I can go to the store once and get it all at one time and not spend more money.
So the first beer, like you said, you've brewed 3, but this is the first one that's turned to glass, from grain to glass.
Yes, it's ready to go.
And this beer has always been, like, a lot of people say that they brew this out of the book. It's kind of funny because it's the first one in the book. But it's a it's an interesting concept, right? Dawson has you mashing like 12.5 pounds of raw pale ale, running that off, boiling it, but he has you mashing the dark grains separate.
Yeah, it's a cold steep. So you're actually cold steeping the Perla Negra for 24 hours. So you have to do that the day before. So I did that at the same time that I made the starter, basically. And just let it sit downstairs. I put a cap on it, let it sit in the pot overnight. It came back down. It was a nice black inky liquid.
I remember when Brian did it, it was super like oily looking.
Yeah, it kind of had a little bit of a sheen on the top, actually. It did, yes.
But then it doesn't go into the mash.
No, it goes into the boil. Final 10 minutes, it goes into the boil. So what I did was I took the Perla Negra malt and I put it into a steeping bag, and I just threw it in the water and let it sit. A couple times I came downstairs and kind of just, you know, dipped it and stirred it around a little bit, agitated to get some more of that color and that flavor out. But for the most part, it sat and did its thing. When I came back down the next morning, it was ready to go, and brew day was on.
Now that's an interesting concept, to pour the cold steep dark wort in at the last like late addition into the boil, and then you said it noticeably changed the aroma, obviously the look.
Yes, and I think that pouring it in at the end of the boil is probably the reason for that, is so you don't get as much astringency from the dark malt if you're going to put it into your mash or whatever. So I think it really adds flavor on top, almost like you threw coffee in to the boil at 10 minutes before.
Yeah.
I think it's the same concept.
So it is awesome. It's very like,
I think it turned out great.
Piney, oily, kind of that orange, peely citrus, but it's, to me it's very piney. You get a clean taste of roast, a little bit of like chocolate or like you said coffee, but it's definitely an IPA first, and it's a great nose now that it's finally warmed up in this cold cave. Yeah, and as a fan of black IPAs, this is one that this would be dangerous to have at my house. 5 gallons of it.
Yeah, it's what is it, about 8% or so. I hit all the numbers, so it was perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, it is a dangerous beer because it goes down easy. It's crushable, but it's a higher alcohol.
This book is now available as well in an ebook format. Our friends at Grey Duck Media made it so you should definitely pick this up. Tat That Says Evil, Chinook, Simcoe, Centennial, Amarillo, American Ale. It's crisp, it's clean, it's got a little bit of roast, but it is just like great hop profile. And then you brewed number 2,
which was the 1997 IPA.
Kind of like an old throwback IPA to the original, a little more caramelly, right? Kind of IPAs.
Yeah, and I haven't been able to, I've tasted that, but not carbonated yet.
And then Liquid Swords throwback IPA, which throwbacks all the way to like the British IPA. Right?
Yeah, like an old English IPA where they would put the hops in a cask, basically, and then send it overseas wherever the soldiers were, basically. So, yeah, 3 in so far and charging ahead.
This is all being documented, so go to Barry's channel. I'll link it below, or I'll put a card up or some sort. You should also get Dawson's book, maybe challenge yourself. I don't know if I'd brew them all back to back over the course of 3 years, but there are definitely some winners in this book. Everybody that gets this book is just like, I love, you know, the Neck Tat is one of the Sucroise pills, always comes up, the Minnesota Common.
Weedy Brown.
The Weedy Brown.
We did an episode on that a while ago with Paul Fowler, and I brewed beers, and you did tasting notes on both of those with Paul.
Boom. And we'll also link to Brewing TV episode 2. And you can see a little bit more about the history of these beer lager caves in case you completely missed that.
Yeah, I'll be putting a link also in my video once I get my third brew day up for the Casanova Brew Cave episode.
We just shot the tasting notes for his video. It's so cross-promotional. The synergy is moldy and dank.
I know, I'm just such a fanboy. I'm standing next to Chip Walton over here in the Casanova Brew Caves with my beer that Michael Dawson wrote the recipe for. So, full circle.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that. It's very ironic. Like, the first time I came in here and did like really cool stuff was with Dawson for that episode. So, Dawson, he's here in spirit through the Mashmaker book. All right, brother. Chop for chop.
Brew for brew. Oh yeah.
Caves. All right. Boo! Wait in a cave. Mashmaker, make me a mash, but not the dark malt. Put it in late. It doesn't rhyme.
And over here, well, I need to chip it out a little bit more because I'm going to fit an 80-inch screen right here.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll have a really nice kitchen here in the back there. We'll put the living area. I'll have to figure out a bedroom, but maybe we'll chip upwards and make a little staircase for the bedroom. You know, dual floor Casanova home.